What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today. This time on the little mini PC here, the little FIREBAT mini PC, and we're gonna do ourselves some Sandland today. Now, we couldn't quite get a constant 60 even on the Ally at 1080p, so I'm not expecting this one to either. But we'll still go through all the settings just for fun. But we'll probably end up having to go like with 720p low. Now, in reality, you could probably do 720p and turn a couple things up. But we're just gonna go through them like we do on the Ally: 1080p high, 900p low, or medium, and then 720p low. So I think that'll be pretty fun, and of course we'll get ourselves a little camera recorded gameplay at the end. So, and of course, because we're recording now with OBS, that does probably kill the FPS a little bit too, so it's gonna actually get quite a bit less FPS in the screen recorded portion as the Ally, because the Ally was just on OBS on my capture computer. It's just a cord plugged into it. It shouldn't slow down too much, but sometimes it does add some stutter and whatnot, so that's why I still like doing camera recorded even with those. And people just like seeing those things in action, kind of like with this, so I like doing it. Make everybody happy. Do the screen for the people that like watching the screen, and do the camera for people that like watching the camera. And for the true performance too. But anyway, enough blabbing. Let's get into the game, shall we?
Alright, so here we go. Had to use borderless window to get it to actually record properly. But I also noticed some other stuff. But I'll explain that once we get into the game, as we've just reached the bottom. And I don't want to blab through the whole settings menu here, so let's get into the game. Alright, here we are at the beginning of the game. Can't quite hit 60 here, but it still seems to be pretty playable most of the time. It does drop down to 21 and whatnot, but I have a feeling if we weren't recording, it would probably have only dropped down to like 28 or something like that. And that's like the worst case scenario here. Most of the time it seems to be in the 40s. High 30s to 40s. Sometimes it even hits in the high 50s there. But anyway, what I was saying in the settings menu here is I noticed that when I got to the camera recorded portion, I went to full screen. It started doing that weird like rubber banding shit. So I started thinking, okay, well maybe it's a full screen thing. I don't know what it is about full screen that it doesn't like, but there must be something there it just doesn't like. And it never shows up in recordings either, I noticed. So that means it's not the computer actually having a big issue. It must be something in between the computer or the screen. So when you take it out of full screen, I think it just uses like the desktop stuff. And I don't even know if FreeSync works when you're in borderless. So maybe it's turning that off, because I was also having a bunch of people online saying that cheap TVs FreeSync suck and they can just make games terrible and stuttery. So I don't know. Alright, we definitely are getting some really bad frame times. So while it's barely playable, frame rate wise, it's definitely not great frame time wise. That would not bode me full of smoothness, I do not think. Alright, now with this one I wanted to just pause it and whatnot, but then I realized I'm not looking at a screen, so I can't. I might be able to set it up. Oh, I thought I dodged that. I might be able to set it up to like just pause with like a hotkey. I'll have to go take a look, but can't do that right in the middle. I have to remember to do that later. Oop, don't run into that one now. That would have been really dumb. And always keep in mind, recording takes some FPS too. Can't stress that enough. But in any case, why don't we go ahead and move on? Alright, here we go. 900p, same borderless, but we put everything down to medium, which resolution scale probably means it's not even 900p in reality, but I did the same thing on my Ally, so I figured I'd do the same thing on here to keep things fair. Don't remember what I did on the Steam Deck anymore, but I think I left it on high. Anyway though, to the game. Alright, here we go. Beginning of the game again. Just at 900p medium settings this time. Okay, it always trips me out, making me think the sound didn't work at first. It's like, well, the sound better damn work. It does that enough to me on my actual capture computer. I don't need it doing it to me like everywhere else here. Yeah, but we still have the same memory thing where it won't go over 2. So I gotta figure that out. I think that would make games run infinitely better, even with the stock configuration, because it can handle 4 gigs. Especially if I went into Windows. I really should go optimize Windows. Just go get rid of all the stuff we don't need. And then I could probably make it run a little bit better. And take up a lot less RAM. I think Windows itself takes up like 2 gigs of RAM or something, possibly even more. Alright, off we go. Still getting terrible frame times, unfortunately. Well, we're getting in the 40s this time instead of in the 30s, so that definitely helped with the frame rate a little bit. And yes, I do. I hear a kitty where she shouldn't be. Why are you on my counter? You know, I'm almost done with this recording. I'm just gonna come pick you up and set you down. I don't want you up there. Alright, well, let's do this little jump thing here, and then I can go get my cat off the counter, and we'll move on. Alright, here we go, 720p, and the cat situation has been taken care of, at least for now. She'll probably go right back to doing it as soon as I get back to the longer part. After the settings, we'll see. But in any case, everything's on low now, 720p, although probably a little lower than that since we have the resolution scale on low too. But anyway, do the game. Alright, here we go, 720p. And Misty proved me wrong. She sat down right next to me on the couch, on the reclining part where your feet would go. That's one of her favorite places to hang out. So instead, she's like, alright, I won't be bad. Instead, I'll just clean. That works for me. And here we go. We're actually getting pretty decent FPS now, and the frame time isn't completely horrible, at least not yet. Maybe it just gets really bad when we start chasing that thing, but I remember it being bad here too. Oh, I spoke too soon. It's still doing some goofy stuff, but it's doing a lot better than it was. You gotta admit that. But we're still maxed out on the MIM. I think if we would be able to get it to use more than 2, I think all games would stop having such terrible frame time. Obviously not all games. Some games it just doesn't have enough RAM to share. Because a lot of games just need 16-ish gigs now. Especially because, you know, Windows takes up so much. It's another reason I'm excited to get the new Ally. But I'm also excited to upgrade this RAM. I might just buy RAM for it tonight, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Maybe get some 5600 and hope it runs at it. Although my Alienware laptop only maxed out at 52, so this thing probably maxed out at 52. Hell, it might only max out 48. But at least then I can have 32 gigs and then have it just max out the VRAM, if I can figure out how to make it use more than 2. Otherwise, all my efforts would be null and void. Anyway, let's chase after this bastard. Alright, still dropped down to 42 for a split second there, I saw it. But at least most of the time it's 60 plus. But we could get to parts of the game where it's like infinitely worse, where it struggles to get 30. Yeah, you never know. This is just the beginning of the game after all. Alright, jump time. And that guy can be like a gremlin and break their shit. Alright, let's get some camera recorded now. I also went and put it back to full screen now. So I don't know if that'll make a huge difference on anything, but just wanted to try it out. Oh, sounds like the cranes are here. I heard them. I don't know where they are though.
I do notice one thing that wasn't happening when I was in borderless. It seems to be doing that weird stutter crap. Where it, like, it's not even weird, like, it's not even showing up really in the frame times, but do you see what I mean? It just looks weird. Alright, so I think maybe I'll just start testing all games in borderless then, maybe. This thing must just hate full screen for some odd reason. Although it seems to have kind of stopped it now, but I'm sure it'll do it every once in a while. Frame rate wise though, we're doing alright. More than alright. So if we weren't recording stuff, we could probably do like 900p with some medium settings and whatnot and still stay around 60. Although it dropped a little bit right there, so maybe not. Oh, see, it did it there too. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna see if I ever see that happen when I'm not in full screen mode. It might be a full screen thing. Like maybe FreeSync hates something or what have you. Because I don't think it was doing that before. I didn't notice it anyway. And I usually call that out immediately. It's kind of hard to not notice, you know? And it also doesn't show up in recordings either. Exactly. We'll just start beating you up then. Alright, and that's a win. It also might just be a VRAM limitation, because I noticed no matter what, it never seems to go much over like 1900 in the RAM there. And I set it to be 4 gigs, so I don't know if there's some hidden setting somewhere in Windows I don't know about, or what. But that could also be why we get that weird stuff going on in full screen. But then why wouldn't it do it in borderless? That must be something else doing that, but that could be the reason we get all these stutters and whatnot for in the frame time, because I can definitely tell those aren't the smoothest frame times. Giving this kid some water, man. Fan just started going bananas for a second there. But it is very quiet most of the time when it's
goes up to 100% though, it definitely is audible. There's no doubt about that. I still stand by what I usually say. It's still at 100%, way less annoying than those little tiny fans at 100%, like on my laptop and Alienware, you know? At least in my opinion. But in any case, I think that's plenty of camera recording gameplay, so why don't we go ahead and wrap this video on up?
Well, alright guys, as a wrap for Sandland, I was changing the desktop resolution in the background, so that's why the little, little banner up there that would normally say Sandland is all messed up, because I luckily noticed this halfway through because I checked, and then I was like, huh, this seems weird. Why is it such low FPS? This thing is just a little bit weaker than the Ally, and yet I'm only getting 20 FPS. So I had to sit there and fiddle for a second, and then I realized, okay, it's just being 4K no matter what I set it to. It wouldn't record in full screen, so I had to do borderless. So I made sure to change the desktop resolution to match the game resolution, just like I do with the Ally now. Anytime I do 1080p, I change it on the system too. And so far after doing that, it hasn't done that goofy shit where it makes my stuff like a micro window or any of that. Hopefully it stays that way. But in any case, I did notice when we went to full screen though, we started getting some of that weird rubber banding looking shit. That wasn't happening before when we had it in borderless. So I'm wondering if all of that is just because of full screen. Maybe I should just test all games in borderless full screen from now on. Or maybe try turning like FreeSync off, or maybe it's just that. A lot of people have said that could be it too. On cheap TVs like this, FreeSync can just be like glitchy and garbage. So, I don't know, that could be it too. I'm not sure. But it definitely was very playable frame rate wise, but definitely could use some work in the frame time department. And then I also, like I said in there, it also is not using more than 2 gigs of VRAM. So I don't know what's up with that, even though I said it can use 4. I've never seen it use anywhere close to 4. I figured 8 would be way too much when it's only got 16 gigs. But pretty soon we're going to upgrade the RAM in this thing. I think that'd make for a nice fun video. Go run some benchmarks before and after and some games before and after. Instead of like I did in the Alienware. Alienware I just kind of jumped right into it because I did so many videos with it stock. I figured, well, might as well just go for it. But I really should have done like some benches just to see, and some tests and games just to see if the speed matters or anything. But for an APU, the speed matters. Anyway though, this is getting to be a long intro. Sorry about that. Sometimes I ramble. But in any case, that's all I got for you guys for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.